word fracking is a very strange word and it describes a very difficult and a very strange activity. Fracking describes the recovery of natural gas from deep inside the earth. And when you listen to the words, you hear the words, you think it sounds simple. It sounds simple and it's just like normal, something that's simple. But this process of recovering natural gas is something that is not simple. So first, let's talk about fracking. Well, in this method, rocks are fractured by the use of water, sand, and fracking chemicals to release the enclosed natural gas from deep inside the earth, very deep inside the earth. And this method has been known since the 1940s, which is very long ago. And although it has been known since so long ago like that, this method is still a very confusing one and a very difficult one indeed. And because of the price for natural gas and fuel is high when you buy it, then this method is becoming more popular because people don't have to buy natural gas. They only have to buy chemical and all those sort of things that is needed for fracking, and then they recover natural gas themselves instead of buying it. Now, fracking has become very popular and it has been used more than 1 million times in the USA already. So, how it works? Fracking is a very difficult one, which means that the steps to this method is very complicated. So first, a shaft is drilled deep into the earth, which creates a hole that is drilled into a large layer of rock. Next, the fracking fluid is pumped into the ground, which it produces tiny cracks that can't close again. And third, the fracking fluid is pumped out again, and that relieves the natural gas so that it can be recovered. Well, it sounds simple, but it is very difficult because the shaft has to be drilled very, very deep into the earth, and the fracking fluid has to be pumped out after it has been pumped into the ground. So it is very, very difficult and complicated. Fracking might help us to recover natural gas without having to pay a lot of money, but the risks are very high. It leads to a contamination of drinking water sources, and that contamination is very, very severe. And also, it leads to the release of greenhouse gases, which can affect the environment very badly. So, we can say that fracking is a very useful method and cheap one to recover natural gas, but that doesn't mean that people can't just ignore the risk of fracking. The risk is very huge, and if fracking continues a lot in almost every country now, then the earth would not be the same again. So that's all my presentation, and thank you for listening.